welcome to Turn the Page, the official podcast of the Syosset Public Library.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Turn the Page. I'm your host today, Jen, and today I am joined by a number of people. Usually this is one-on-one, but we have a group today, which is always exciting, here to talk about an absolutely gorgeous comics anthology. This is a volume in a longer series, each with its own theme, and they are all absolutely beautiful. I'm so excited to talk to the book's creators and contributors. So welcome. Could I ask you all to introduce yourselves and your stories and the book, please?
Maybe I will start. I'm Lukasz Majcher. I'm a comic artist and publisher based in Berlin. Oh, sorry, my cat. and I run Moon Comics. We focus on publishing queer stories, but they're really made for everyone. For me, it's not about creating something just for one group, but telling stories that feel human and relatable, no matter who's reading them. And in our work, we're mostly interested in atmosphere and emotions and telling a compelling story. And as a publisher, I try to give artists space to experiment. I hope I'm doing my a good work. The others can confirm, or maybe not. Yeah, I think it's a lot of fun to make comics, and yeah, that's all.
So my name is Marco Nijenhuis. I'm from the Netherlands, moved to Berlin, and met Lukasz there as well. And he's doing great work with his Moon comics. And and then I got asked to join this anthology, Silence, and I was happy. I studied in the Netherlands. Also, I studied at art school, where they started also teaching comic design. So before that, I did like buildings design and more technical stuff. But then I got into, I wanted to draw and do more creative stuff. So, and now I'm doing comics and work on an animation short film. So I do both. I like to draw more analog, and that's a bit it for me at the moment. So working on projects and happy to join this one as well. So it's great.
Okay. My name is Soizick Jaffre. Thank you for having us, by the way. I am based in France. I am French. I have spent some time in the US. I have a job. I am not a comic artist by day. I am only by night. It is my passion. I was a comic artist as a kid. I always made comics, and I have published fiction, poetry, comics, autobiographical stories in various independent publications and comics anthologies in North America and Europe. I am self-taught, and like I said, it's my passion. I have published in an anthology, Drawing Power, which is about women's stories of sexual violence, published by Abrams Books. And last year, in 2025, I published my first graphic novel, graphic memoir about sports and the gay games. So LGBT is one of my theme, but I tell stories about all sorts of things. Recently, I have contributed to an anthology about Bigfoot, another one about neurodivergence, sports again, and this time I'm really proud to participate in Silence.
Could you start a little bit by talking about how the Silence series came to be, and perhaps some of the other themes that you've explored before this one?
Silence started basically from a pretty simple idea. I wanted to reach people who don't speak neither English or German, or who struggle with reading. With wordless comics, language just stops being a barrier, and anyone can pick up the book and understand it in their own way. And also, over time, it became more than just accessibility. It also changed how the stories are experienced. When they no text, you read them differently. You slow down, you look more closely, you rely more on intuition. And each volume has a different theme. We had sci-fi and horror, then history and fantasy, and now, of course, we're talking about Dream and Nightmare, which is much more internal and symbolic, I would say. So, in that way, it's about communication beyond a language and trusting images and also trusting the reader.
I'd love if you two could introduce your contributions to the volume. In particular, I'm interested in what was your inception point for the comic? Was it a particular character, an image, maybe a color or a feeling? Where did it all begin?
First, maybe you want to know why we contributed to Silence, like how we got to contribute. I did not know about Moom Comics. I think I heard of Moom, and I think I saw the books in Angoulême at the festival. So I was aware of its existence, but I didn't know much about it. I was on the lookout for new experiences and new circles. I wanted to get out of my network. And so I started typing keywords on Google to look for proposals, to look for call for contributions. So this is how I found out about Silence. And what started my story is this will blow your mind. And I've never told Lukasz, so this is going to be a bombshell. But
Now I'm curious.
at the time, I had no idea for a story. First of all, I love the idea of the universal language of images. And I'm a traveler myself. I consider myself a citizen of the world. And so I really I've always worked with people from all over the world with comics. You know, the network is really international and everybody knows each other. I've met Filipino comic artists from the Philippines, and we had friends in common. So I was really interested, but I had no idea for a story. And at the time, I was working with a friend I met on a beach, and we bonded over windsurfing. And he really wanted to tell stories, and we actually made a comic together. And so I told him, you know, we became really good friends. I told him about Silence, and I wanted to build a story together. I actually do my own work from A to Z. You know, I do the coloring, I do the writing, I do everything on my own, but it's really lonely. So I always wanted to share with people, but it doesn't really work out. So we got along, and I told him, you know, let's do it again. You write the story and I make the comic. And I told Lukasz about it. There are the two of us, and we started working on it. And so the idea of the high school, this was really the main idea. The idea of the high school with bullies and people behaving in this brutal way, with this couple, those two teenagers in this nightmare and coming out to a dream, was the initial idea. And then he started writing stuff, and this friend was really really started to go off track. And last summer, turned out he started saying really strange things. The story was about bullying, remember? And it was very ideological. And he actually revealed that he was pro far right, you know, in France. He started saying really weird stuff. And to be honest, I think it has more to do with mental health than politics. But the story was supposed to be about bullying. And suddenly I was facing this really brutal behavior. So this would be the equivalent of the pro-Trump trope, that he started giving, and so I never saw him ever again. He said, "You take your shit to get out of my house." So this is the story of the comic. I was having lunch with his kids who were appalled, and this friend was just going crazy, and I took my stuff and I left, and I windsurfed for the rest of the summer on my own with other people. And I thought, I have to make a comic about another story, and I emailed Lukasz, not telling him any details. This is just me now. And the story of the two high school girls being targeted by bullies turned into this. It's symbolical in the comic, but it's pretty obvious. You've seen the red hats, Jen, in the pages you've read. So I decided to turn it into this anti-Trump or anti-bully story. And basically it started with that. A mirror. If you read my pages, you see the mirror. And I am on the dream side of the anthology, but dreams can be really strange, right? Really ambiguous. And sometimes you wake up in the morning and you have this really, really strange feeling, and you don't know if it was a dream or a nightmare. And this is exactly how I feel about this friendship. We were friends for 2 years only, but I feel like people in America right now, people in the US, or people in different places around the world, because this is not just the US and could be in France tomorrow, have this feeling of, where are we? Like, what side of the mirror are we? And I'm sorry, it's getting really personal, but I love the US. I spent a lot of time there, and I know a lot of people who have come from different backgrounds. I have friends who are really different in the US, really different people, conservative, religious, very liberal, anti-religious. I have all sorts of friends, and none of them support Trump, and all for the same reasons. So I find it really interesting that people who are very different find common values. And so my story started with this idea that we will get out of the nightmare in the end. And this is the dream. So there is no dream in my pages, really. It's more of a nightmare, but the story is, it's a dream. Like, I have a dream. You get out of the nightmare at some point. You will get on the other side. So there is the rainbow, the promise, and so that was the start of the story. A friendship, a partnership, a contribution for this theme. And this person, I don't know what this person was about, and I feel like a lot of people in the US right now don't understand what their country is about.
That's a very fascinating story. And it makes me think about something that I think a lot of these comics made me think about is when you think about the intersection of queer identity and dreams. I think when your waking life is very repressed and persecuted and perhaps limited by the society you live in, your dreams then become kind of all that more important, where those restrictions can be lifted, or made worse, depending on if it is like if you're heading into dream or nightmare territory. But I spent a lot of time thinking about, with your strip, I guess, about how dreams help us process reality and perhaps help us find that, where are we and where are we going?
It's hope.
And you, Marco, thank you. Could you tell us about your contribution?
Yes, sure. So yeah, last year, Lukasz asked me to contribute to the anthology, and after thinking about it, I was really happy to join and do this. Also, there were of course, some conditions on the comic, like no text, also a queer main character, and but also a lot of freedom. And it was really excited to start creating a story with these elements. So that got me really excited to work on it. Then it was like, okay, what will the story be? And I was thinking about it, and I thought, let's do some research. And I was always, I'm still curious about like also lucid dreaming. And I was just going to the library and get all the, German library in Berlin, try to get all the English books about, because English reads a bit easier than German for me. But then I got all German books about lucid dreaming. So I read some books about it. And then I was just thinking about, what the story could be about. And then it became first, it developed from more like maybe some kind of romance love story to something else. So I had several drafts in the beginning. I sketched and wrote a bit, and then later it became more this form of like this person who like lives in this futuristic world with like flying cars and robots. And I was like, I mean, you have a lot of freedom. And I was also like, oh yeah, this is also a cool opportunity to do what I also am, attracted to as well. So I tried to, I created this character, and this character is then this dream thief. Dreams are then valuable. And when researching also again a bit, I also found out that in some countries, like I think, Korea, South Korea, they also sell dreams or give dreams away to other people, like mostly family members or people they know, because dreams have some kind of power or worth. And I was like, okay, it makes also more sense now for my story I was like thinking about. So, and even an artist like did a dream auction. So I was like, oh, cool, like really this connects. So I was continuing with this story and developing it. And did some drafts, asked for some feedback from some people, also from Lukasz. And then after several drafts, I was pretty happy with the result, where it now comes to this, futuristic world where this scammer dream thief is like stealing a dream. And he did it already a lot before, but then this dream, it all seems to go a bit different than he normally does it. So, and the person who he steals the dream of, also, they have a connection more than only stealing the dream. So when he goes away in the beginning, he learns more about this feeling, and his normal routine all goes, how do you say it? Like, the routine really gets
To
destroyed.
trash.
It goes to trash. Yeah. So, So then he has to, gets chased by robots who want the dream. And that's the main part of one side. And then I developed like a window to the dream itself, what I then try to connect with this main character. This is how this story develops in these two worlds of the dream and the reality together. And that's a bit my story in a nutshell and how I worked on it.
That's I think, a great opportunity to ask you both about your color choices. I am always very interested in what drives color choices in comics.
Mhm.
And you, Marco, you have a really beautiful watercolor effect, it looks like. And Swazik, you have this gorgeous, very vibrant digital color. What guided those choices for your stories?
I love colors. My colors, my coloring for this piece is the same as my other pieces. I don't know if Marco has proceeded differently for this one piece, if it's a different style
Yeah,
or a different medium.
yeah, I switch sometimes from styles a bit, but slowly, yeah, it's watercolor and ink is a
Mostly
base that I do a
watercolors.
lot. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I
Mhm.
have worked with digital. I have worked with Photoshop for many years now. A long time ago, I would ink and then scan and then color. Now I do everything on Photoshop, but I've always done my colors with Photoshop, and I love colors. It's really my signature, I would say. Now, of course, this piece looks different from my other pieces. Each piece is different, but it's my typical style. For this piece, I did have to think of the choice of colors depending on a symbolical value, which is not always the case. In most of my pieces, there is no rational thinking behind the choice of color. It's just by instinct and aesthetic. But for this one piece, I had to decide on specific colors. So obviously, I had the red for the red hats, and then I had this stupid red bag of chips and those stupid red plastic cups. And it was one team, and then the other team had the yellow color with the books, and the flying pages, and the book gets eaten by the bullies at some point. But that, and also the colors of nighttime, daytime, the high school, the place where the violence takes place, and in the end, it's actually a peaceful place that where the two characters, when they enter this dream, are free to reinvest, with this new energy. And then the colors of the desert when they go to the motel, and the motel is yellow, so there is a promise, and there's this old man in the lobby, and the TV screens. And I did make some choices. If readers pay attention, they might notice. But I try not to over intellectualize. I don't know if Marco makes choices based on ideas and intention. I try not to do it. I did, like I said, for a few things, but I don't want to over intellectualize, because your mind will do the work subconsciously when you make your art. And then when you read your own piece months later, it happens to me all the time. I read my book that I published last year. I actually finished it 2 years ago, and I read my own pages, and I see symbolical messages in the pages, with colors and other things, because your mind will connect the dots, and your mind will create things. And I think it's better to just let it go, because it's art, so you don't want to make a thesis out of it. So usually it looks good, and sometimes it makes more sense. And also because there's no word, right? Silence. When I showed my first pages to Lukasz, he said he gave me a few editorial notes, comments, and one of the things he said was, you need to keep it simple. Here it's not clear, and you need to keep it simple. And I tend to do crazy, complicated stuff, which might be okay for some pieces, might be okay if you have words, but if you don't have any caption, any dialogue, then it's not good. And so I try to simplify, and also with the colors, try to make the message come through more easily. So yes, the colors had to play a part.
Yeah, thanks. I will tell a bit about the coloring for me. Yeah, so for me, though, I really like to work with analog, with watercolor and ink. It's, yeah, exciting. And also, yeah, when you work on it, your heartbeat goes a bit up, because also I worked on the original ink pages. So I also talked about it with people, like, yeah, it's just a bit like, oh, will it go well? Or so, but yeah, I also practice, so I have a bit of faith that I will lead it in a bit of a good way. And yeah, with the coloring, yeah, I thought also about, because I have this dream sequence and this real world sequence, and the dream sequence start more in yeah, like reality colors in a way, like green tree, like grass, and blue sky. And yeah, the reality part is actually more, feels a bit more like a dream in a way. Um, and yeah, there this sci-fi, this futuristic city. Yeah, the sky is much more like colored in yeah, pink and orange and purple, and it gives more an effect like that. So, and then I was thinking also about like how to, yeah, how to give a bit of a how do you say, how does the, from beginning to end, how the colors maybe change a bit due to the light. But it's, yeah, it was pretty much like, I did some tests also in small. I did like little thumbnail coloring. So at least I did a first thing of like, oh yeah, I know a bit how it looks and how it goes. And after those little thumbnail watercolor drawings, then I know a bit more like, oh, how will I go in the big ones, and know a bit the transition of like going from beginning to end. So it was, and then it is also a big part intuitive in the end, like, yeah, how does it feel to me, and what color will I put down? And yeah, so you have a bit the main feeling of the colors, and then slowly I just put some colors on, and it will work its way till the end. So yeah, that's a bit my process, I think. So yeah, I don't know if you have any questions or yeah.
I didn't know that you're working on the original pages. It's quite risky.
Yeah, yeah, I talked about it also in the animation meetup group I organized, and the people said, "What? The original pages?" Yeah, it's like giving you extra heartbeat, like your heartbeat raises a bit more for this. But
Watercolor
it's,
is unpredictable.
yeah, yeah, but thought about it, and I thought, oh, this is the best way for me to, yeah, I don't want to print it out and then work on it, because the ink. Yeah, and I worked on watercolor paper. So yeah, so in the end was, I had to risk it a bit. So yeah.
Oh, it's so interesting. And for you, Lucas, what drives your choices when you are putting together an anthology? When you're choosing the order to present the pieces in, are there priorities or goals that shape your choices, or is it also sort of intuitive?
I have a very crazy comic book taste, so I love everything. There are people who are only into manga, or they reading only the European comics and whatever. And I love everything. And for me, the most important thing is the talent, and this is how I choose the people to the project. And also, it has to be very diverse. So if you open a book and see various styles, then it's I think it's more compelling to the for the reader. And yeah, I also have a I have a thing for connecting people, not only in the comics but also in life, and I like to see how they will react in this combination. And some people like to meet each other in one sterile group, and then they mix people with from outside. And I love it. I'm always curious how what mixture will come up from this process. So this is how it works, and so far I think it's working. Yeah. So it has to be colorful, interesting, diverse, and a bit like a music. Like. When I choose which comics will open the book and which one will close, it's not about like the quality of the comic, but more about the rhythm. And if one comic is more action based, and the other one could be more I don't know, like symbolic or poetic, I would say. And then we change the rhythm again. So it's like it's always it's always fun to see this how it's worked. The the specific order of the comics. Sometimes I mix it up and then read it again to see how it works. It's easier when you have 6 comics because and 2 sides. But I used to have anthologies with 14 people, so you can imagine there have been many versions of this book at the beginning. Yeah, but silence is quite simple, and yeah, don't mistake it with a primitive or just it's easier to design this book thematically. And it's also a lot of fun, and I hope the other artists are enjoying this as well.
It's such an interesting project. I am so excited to see what's next in this series. I know that you are, deep in the Kickstarter for this one and that you are hard at work, but do you have any ideas yet for what Silence will perhaps feature next, or what themes you're thinking of exploring?
I have some plans. I think it's the first time I will tell it officially, but the next topics will be war and peace, and another one. Yeah, I know, very actual, I would say. And another one will be AI and human. And I already have the whole lineup for the war and peace issue, and still searching for the right people for the AI and human one.
That sounds very interesting, and they both sound very timely, for better or for worse, as it were. But I look forward to seeing these. And I'm so excited that you all took the time to talk to me and our listeners. Thank you so much. We're going to make sure that the Kickstarter gets out there. A quick message to our listeners. When you hear this, there will be a few days left in the Kickstarter, so you can head to the show notes and check that out if that's something that you would like to learn more about. Yeah, thank you all again so much for your time and for sharing
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for
Yeah,
having us.
thank you.
It
Yeah.
means a lot.
Oh, you're so
Yeah. Thank you
welcome.
very much.
All right, listeners, please check out Silence, Dream, Nightmare in the places that I just told you about. Thank you for joining us. It is now time to close this chapter. We'll see you next time.
It's time to close this chapter of Turn the Page. Join us for the next episode.